So by now, you have been watching lots of gardening videos, and you're left wondering with all the money I need to spend on tools, fertilizer, soil, garden beds, plants from the nursery, trellises, etc. Am I going to really save any money gardening? The short answer is if you buy all what I mentioned above, probably not. This is why I strive for growing more by spending less. When I started gardening, I used to buy composted manure and fertilizer every season. I would buy all my plants from the nursery and always felt that my yield did not justify the expense. Now, these are the steps that I take to keep my gardening as frugal and as productive as possible. Number one, soil. You do not need to buy soil. You need to build your own soil by amending it with compost. You do not need to buy compost. You can produce it yourself for free. Does it take work? Sure. But there is something beautiful about turning refuse into nutrients for your garden and ultimately nutrients for your family and yourself. In addition, it will take care of the need of soil and fertilizer all in one. I never use fertilizer, organic or otherwise. I only use compost to feed my existing sandy soil. We live less than a mile from the ocean, so there are not many nutrients in the soil. Compost take care of that. So if it could build up my soil, it definitely can build yours up. I'll put a link to my composting video in the description below. Let's talk about tools. I have very few gardening tools. These are the ones I believe are the most indispensable ones. A wheelbarrow, a shovel, a pitchfork, a rake, and a hoe. You probably already have most of these, with the exception perhaps of the hoe. It took me years of gardening to actually buy a hoe. This is the easiest way to control weeds in your garden. If you hoe your garden regularly, you'll have very few weeds to worry about. What about trellises and props for vertical gardening? Sure, you will need some of that. But you can start with branches and sticks that you currently have in your garden. For example, this year I used 3 electrical conduits to make a teepee for my beans to grow on, and they loved it. I'll make a video on vertical growing. I know there are plenty of those out there, but I have a few things that I think are quite unique that I can show you. You must use some sort of pesticide, right? No, I don't want those chemicals on my produce. So how do I deal with pests, you ask? The reality of gardening is that pests will be present. You'll win the battle sometimes, and you'll lose the battle sometimes. For example, I have pesky caterpillars that try to eat all my winter squashes. Well, what do I do then? As soon as they're pollinated, I cover my squashes with mesh to try to curb the attacks, and it works for the most part. Late in the season, my tomatoes are attacked by stink bugs. What do? I harvest them early, as soon as they start ripening, and I get to harvest them before the stink bugs get to them. There are other things I do, but the most important factor is to start your plants at the right time. Use an app like Gardenate or Seed to Spoon to see when to start your plants. Your yields must be terrible. If you don't use all those products you're supposed to use, well, maybe for some people's standards, but I produce about 80% of our vegetable needs in a yard that is less than a tenth of an acre. I think that is pretty decent. How about buying plants at the nursery? I think that in as much as possible, one should collect seeds and start the plants from seeds. This is just the righteous thing to do. I still buy 1 or 2 trays of plants per season, if I'm honest. I usually fall prey to the new varieties that they bring. However, it is best to start your own seeds. This video is getting a little bit long. If you want a video on any other topic, please write it in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, this is Jose.